Listen to this. This is an incredible story from Slate. Quote, a federal judge has granted John Hinckley Jr. his release from the Washington, D.C. mental hospital where he has lived since being found not guilty by reason of insanity after attempting to kill President Ronald Reagan in 1981. Hinckley, who famously said he attacked Reagan in order to impress actress Jodie Foster, who he was obsessed with and had stalked, will be able to leave St. Elizabeth's Hospital to live with his 90-year-old mother in Williamsburg, Virginia, as soon as next week. Good googly moogly. Somebody who tried to murder President Reagan is being released. What planet do we live on? It's like we're the most punitive nation when it comes to criminal justice, but all of a sudden, somebody tried to murder a president. Free to go, broski. Enjoy. What's happening? Now, they actually go on to explain he's had, timeout already. He's done these, 2-week-long, maybe 3-week-long stays with his family members where he just has to check in and I guess do phone calls back to the mental hospital. And they say, no, like he's, his mental state is just flat out better. He's treated properly in terms of his medication. He no longer has depression. He no longer has psychosis. He no longer has all these other issues that he had. So no, it's good. He's good and he's free to go. Now, looking at this story as a standalone thing, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I don't have a fully formed opinion, to be clear. Maybe if I thought about it longer, I'd say, nah, just to be safe, keep him locked up the entire time, in a mental hospital. But whatever the case is, he should be away from society. I don't know. I haven't really thought it through in any serious way. But just a cursory reading of it, I go, okay, whatever, not that big a deal. I start to get angry when looking at the facts of this and comparing it to what so many people in America are locked up for. Nonviolent drug crimes. There's some people serving life sentences for nonviolent drug crimes. Okay, now I'm pissed. So let me get this straight. You're going to have a guy who we have, if I'm not mistaken, on video trying to murder the President of the United States. Now, all of a sudden, it's not life in prison for him. Now he's released. Now he's home. He can do whatever the fuck he wants now. So that guy's free to go. You try to murder the President of the United States, maybe you could be free to go. But if you're caught with some weed, if you're caught with some cocaine, if you're dealing because you can't pay the fucking bills and it's your only way out of the hood, all these different things, they could get life in prison? We got to change our laws. We have to change our laws. Because again, I want to be clear, I'm not sure I even disagree with what they did with John Hinckley here. But if you're going to have somebody try to murder the president eventually be released, I mean, it goes without saying, the person who's caught with a little bit of weed or a little bit of coke shouldn't even be locked up in the first place. I mean, divorced from this story, those people shouldn't be locked up in the first place. Locking somebody up for having a substance, having a drug. I mean, would you lock somebody up for having fucking Xanax? Would you lock somebody up for, having Red Bull or Monster Energy or alcohol? Fucking beer? Jack Daniels? Whatever the case is. Certain substances, certain drugs we look at and we're all like, yeah, what do you mean? That's part of the culture we live in. That's part of the society we live in. But that's fucking arbitrary, man. It's the same thing as like in fucking Native American culture, they smoked peyote. You can't have peyote now. I don't know if you smoke it or eat it, so forgive me for that. But if you take peyote now, you get locked up. But hold on, in Native American societies, that was their alcohol. It's like, okay, no, this is what we do. We have some peyote at night. It's so arbitrary. The way the rules and the laws have developed, utterly arbitrary. So we got to be consistent, man. I'm not saying drugs are all by definition good. That's not true. And I'm not saying at times people don't get addicted. Of course they do. We need treatment. We need rehab. It's a medical issue when it's somebody who's addicted. For everybody else, the overwhelming majority of substance users of all different substances, they're normal people just living their life. To lock them up in a fucking cage as a result of it, as you release people who tried to murder the president, is the dumbest fucking system I've ever seen in my life. Free every single non-violent drug offender today and change the laws. Legalize, tax, and regulate drugs. We got to start being adults. We have to start acting like an intelligent civilization. And we have to stop acting like a bunch of petulant children hanging on to a draconian system that makes no sense.